morning, everyone. It's Nate, the host of Adaptive Athletics. Basically, today I just wanted to hop on here really quick and talk to y'all about how my life has been going and what I have been going through. I'm trying to find a job right now. I know this is kind of random. I feel like most of my podcasts are sort of random. But I've been trying to find a job, and it's not panning out. I really think, but what I wanted to talk to you guys about is sort of dream chasing is what I'm going to call it. So I don't think, if I'm being 1,000,000% honest with everyone who listens to this podcast, I had a conversation with one of the instructors at the school today, right? And me and him were talking. I don't think a normal 9-to-5 job for me is going to make me successful or happy at all, right? So I'm always going to go outside the box and do something different. Podcasting is just a way for me to get my brand, Adaptive Athletics, out there, give you guys content and, tips and tricks and different things. And I know lately the podcast definitely hasn't been as informative, but don't worry, I plan on doing a lot more stuff here. Let me move the mic forward because those waveforms look a little small. There we go. Basically, I plan on doing a lot more informative stuff very, very soon, a lot more interviews and things like that. But no, what I wanted to talk to you guys about today was, if there is something specifically that you guys have ever wanted to do, and I touched on this on one of the very first episodes of season 1, I'm pretty sure. If there has ever been anything that anyone has told you that you can't do, or that you doubted yourself and you thought you couldn't do, that is when you need to attempt it, in my opinion, because I didn't really think, I have a good voice, I've done YouTube for a lot of years, but I didn't think podcasting was going to be something I was good at, so I just kind of tried it, and people started to like it quite a bit. I like it because it allows me to be open and talk about things that I enjoy. Of course, Adaptive Athletics, hence the name and hence what I talk about. Adaptive Athletics was started because back in 2020, as everyone knows, the dreaded year 2020, or what I like to call the COVID year, was a very, very hard year for everyone. And that was the year that I started weightlifting heavily. So I had always weightlifted in high school and done different things, but I had never taken it seriously because I don't know, I had never played sports when I was in school, just didn't think it was my thing. Never attempted to really play any sports because I didn't think with me being disabled that I'd be good at it. So I just said, you know what, probably wouldn't be good at it. It is what it is, we move on, right? So I never played a sport in high school, always kind of wanted to, low-key in the back of my head. It was something that I always wanted to attempt doing. And then one of my friends, shout out to Christian, he had weightlifted and was a very big guy all the way through high school. Even his freshman year, he was a lot bigger than most people at that age range. He was a very avid weightlifter, still is in the Army. Shout out to you, Christian, and thank you for your service. But anyways, he told me about Adaptive Athletics. He told me about my trainer, Tommy, who I really want to get on this freaking podcast. We need to do that. I need to do it. I need to set that up and see if he'd be down. I'm not 100% sure how I'd record that because he lives 50 minutes from here, but if I had to go down there, I probably would. I'd probably just go down to Next Level, which is the old gym that I used to actually train in. Wow. And I would actually just have a conversation with him. Anyways, what I wanted to actually say was, so he kind of told me about it and gave me Tommy's number. I started working out with Tommy a lot. And when I say a lot, I was going down to to the Westerville location like I was going like 3 days a week. It was a lot of traveling, a lot of this, a lot of that. And then I did my first competition, and like it was, I don't know if anyone has ever had what I call the bug bite them of something they really love doing, so they start doing it a lot, whether it's play video games, do YouTube, whatever. Kevin, my co-host, who's actually not here right now, is a very, very big, he's a very, very big YouTube, well, I shouldn't say he's a very, very big, he's an avid YouTuber, so he does YouTube quite a bit, right? He does it a lot. Almost every day for a year, but that's my point. Like, if you have a bug by you where you love doing something, you're going to do it a lot. So I just started working out a bunch, got really, 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 really strong, and then it was really cool because I remember I was working out one day, and I bet if I actually interviewed Tommy, he would tell me he remembers this. He told me, he's like, I'm going to retire one day, and I want you to take my spot. And I remember saying, what? And for context about what he means about like taking his spot, he was the world's strongest disabled man from I think 2015 to like 2018. So he had done it for years. He knew I could do it, and so I said, I would do that. He said, I know you can do it. You just have to push yourself to do it. So then I started working out even more. Went to my first competition and placed second. And that was all I needed. That was the drive that I needed. That was the spark that kind of started this journey. Fast forward to 2020, COVID hits, gym shut down. I get really sad about everything shutting down because I want to work out. Because that bug is still in the back of my head going, you need to work out, you need to get stronger, you need to do this, that, and the third. So I'm like, how am I going to do that if all the gyms are closed? So I started working out at home, and this is where Mr. E and Mr. D come in. Shout out to you guys. Then they tell me, do you listen to do you listen to music when you work out? And I said, yeah, it's something that I do just to keep me focused, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they said, well, have you ever heard of a podcast? Now, at the time, I had never heard or really understood what a podcast was. So I said, no, I'm not really sure what that is. They said, it's kind of like a story or a sit-down interview where usually certain people will talk about certain things, and some of them you can learn from, whether it's investing, sports, working out, because there is a few workout podcasts, but I'll get into why mine's different here in a minute. Anyway, they told me, they were like, you should listen to a podcast. And I was like, okay, cool, that's fun. So they gave me a podcast to listen to. Mr. Ebert did. Shout out to Ebert. He said listen to, I think it was Robin Hood. Shout out to Robin Hood. I haven't watched listened to one of their episodes in a very long time, but shout out to them because that was the first ever podcast I ever listened to. And then I started to realize that this podcasting thing was getting ginormous. Okay? And fast forward like a month, I started to realize, I was like, I wonder if there's any adaptive athletics podcasts that I can get like tips and tricks from for when I work out. And to be honest with you, there wasn't. There has never really been a podcast for adaptive athletics, or at least that I could find. On iTunes, Spotify, I looked everywhere, and I could not find a podcast for adaptive athletics. I couldn't do it. I couldn't find somebody who was like I figured there would be somebody who was either a retired champion like Tommy or a doctor who talked about it. I didn't know, but there wasn't. So I decided, I talked to Mr. E and Mr. D, that I was going to make adaptive athletics, and that's how this was born. The original intent for adaptive athletics is to, and this has always been my intent with the show, is to give you guys feedback, give you guys stories, give you guys not, like, I don't know how to word this. So I want to basically, like, allow you guys to take me, somebody who is, won 3 competitions now at this point. Well, 2 technically. My third one got robbed from me by 3 points. Anyways, so I've won a few competitions. I kind of know what I'm talking about a little bit. Yes, I'm not as knowledgeable as somebody like Tommy, but I have access to that knowledge if I would need it. But I want you guys to be able to learn from me, take my advice, and be able to, if you want to do adaptive athletics, do it. Especially weightlifting. I want to be able to, teach you guys how to eat clean, how to work out, exactly what you're going to do, and allow you guys to go on this fitness journey with me. I think that is very, very important, because here's the thing, right? People are always like, well, that's nice, blah, 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 but why? Okay? And for somebody like me who for so many years has been, this is going to get a little bit more personal, but for so many years has been so just kind of swept under the rug, whether that be my family's always been there for me, but I didn't have many friends growing up. I've never been in a legitimate, serious relationship before. I'd love to be, but I never have been. But I want to be able to leave a legacy, because I feel like that is extremely important. I had so many people doubt me growing up. Even when I started doing YouTube 7 years ago, back in 2014, nobody believed I could do it. And I mean, yeah, I'm not huge on YouTube, but I'm still working on it, and I'm still doing what I have to do to stay consistent, or at least I'm trying. Life can sometimes get in the way, and I want to have a whole different episode on what you should do if you have anxiety, depression, anything like that, because I suffer from anxiety, not like heavily, but sometimes, life can get overwhelming, so I want to have a whole different episode about that. But I feel like it's very important to leave a legacy and to show people that, somebody like me can really do what I set my mind to. Leaving a legacy for me is the most important thing. I want to be known as that person who started something that is going to leave an impact on the world and on this crazy planet that we live on. But I want people to be like, yeah, I did that, and see that I did that, and hopefully enjoy it, always enjoy it. But I know this was kind of just me doing an overview, and for my OG viewers, you probably have already heard me talk about this slightly, but you have never actually heard me talk about it in that detail. As far as new episodes coming up, I'd like to do some interviews, but I have to get a new microphone for my home studio. Don't worry, that's coming soon. But we definitely are going to do some crazy things with the podcast and YouTube this year. Don't worry, I'm not going to quit YouTube or anything. But podcasting is something, like me and Mr. D were talking, and I think I mentioned something about this earlier in the episode. I just don't think a normal 9 to 5 is going to work for me, I've been trying to find a job and just nothing's panning out, so I have to be able to find something that I enjoy, which I enjoy podcasting and YouTube both, that I can make money at and that I can support myself with and my family and everything, and just make sure they're straight, make sure I'm straight, and that I'm good, and, just make sure I can make a living off of it. But anyway, I really think that is podcasting and YouTube in my opinion for myself. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it wasn't extremely long, but it's more informational, or I don't know if that's a word. If it is, that's kind of funny. But it's more just me explaining everything that's been going on and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Anyway, you guys have been amazing, and I will see you guys sometime next week for another episode of Adaptive Athletics. I've been your host, Nate. You guys have been an awesome audience as always, and goodbye, guys. Y'all have a great day.